Alright, this video is probably going to be pretty quick. I also know it's coming out a little later after the game ended, as I had some other commitments to attend to after the game, and yeah, I'm also keeping it sweet because I know this video isn't going to get a lot of views after a game like that, and I don't blame you guys. So, the Bulls this season, hell, I won't even say this season, I'll say even recently, they beat the Boston Celtics in Boston while being shorthanded. They then lose to Milwaukee without Giannis and Damian Lillard. They then followed that up by beating the Bucks, still without Giannis, but with Dame. Then they barely beat the Hornets without their two best players, had to win that game in overtime, and then lose to one of the worst teams in the league, nay, the worst team in the league, in the Washington Wizards, who have been god-awful this season on both ends of the floor, dead last in net rating in the NBA, and they didn't just get beat. They got blown out by the Wizards tonight. It was the Wizards' largest margin of victory this season, which maybe isn't saying that much since this was only their 6th win on the season. I mean, simply put, this Chicago Bulls team doesn't make sense. Like, I will say I'm pleased with this team in a lot of regards, like I've talked about before, in that they play like a team, they play for each other, they move the ball well, they play a much more fun style of basketball than what we saw last season, and for the most part, not all the time, the guys actually give effort when they're on the floor. Tonight, though, that was certainly not the case. In fact, this was some of the worst defensive effort that we've seen from this Bulls team, which is saying a lot considering they're bottom 5 in the NBA on defense. Defense was straight up optional tonight for the Bulls. I mean, when you allow a team as bad as the Wizards to shoot 50% and 47% from 3, giving them wide open looks, missing them on backdoor cuts, getting outworked and beat off the dribble, and limited deterrence at the rim, then yeah, you don't deserve to win this game. And it would be one thing if maybe the Bulls just treated this as a shootout and beat the Wizards on offense, but the Bulls' offense tonight, just like it was the other night, was horrible. And I thought in the game against the Hornets, it was in large part because they didn't have Zach Lavine, but tonight, even with the Bulls having Zach Lavine and being healthy for the most part with the exception of Dosunmu, they had yet another terrible shooting night, 44% overall, under 30% from 3, 14 for 47 from deep. Under 30 assists, the ball wasn't moving well, guys were getting lost on transition plays, and get this, 20 turnovers. 20 turnovers against one of the worst defensive teams in the league. The Bulls were sloppy, they didn't play with effort, and once again, they played down to their competition, which has been an all-common theme in the Billy Donovan era. Like, I don't rip into Billy Donovan as much as a lot of other Bulls fans do, even though I don't think he's the right coach for this job, but something needs to be said or studied on just how much his team has played down to their competition, and this dates all the way back to his first season with the Bulls. Like, this needs to be talked about more because it's concerning to the level of inconsistent play we've seen from every season with this Bulls team, and why it continues to happen where they don't take care of business against teams that have a great tanking win, though. I guess if you're on the tanking side, I mean, I figured tonight was going to be an easy win and was going to talk about how it's already too late for the Bulls to really keep their pick or at least get into the top 4. So YOLO, get those wins. But I guess I should have known the Bulls would come out flat and lay an egg like that against the Wizards. I mean, what else is there to say? Zach got hot, was pretty much the only guy providing the Bulls some offense tonight, was the only player who had a positive box plus minus. Vucevic, another poor shooting night. Not good to see some shooting averages of his regress towards the mean with trade season heating up. Giddey was a non-factor. I mean, his effort was there, trying to make things work, trying to make plays, but his shots weren't falling, and he had 5 turnovers overall. I will say, the only thing that got me hyped in watching this game was seeing Lonzo Ball throw down a dunk off a fast break after a steal at midcourt. I wasn't sure if we would ever see Lonzo Ball dunk again. I mean, of course, we weren't sure if we were ever going to see him play the game of basketball again, but once he did come back, trying to see him go up for a dunk was probably going to be a rare sight to see, and seeing him still being able to get up like that got me excited. I know he didn't have a great shooting night tonight. He went 2 for 7 overall. His three-point stroke hasn't been there recently, but he was the only one showing effort on the defensive side of the ball, and you could tell he was getting frustrated when he would make a great defensive play and push the ball in transition, all but to have his guys turn the ball over on offense. Lonzo had 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, and a block in just 22 minutes of play. Bulls may end up getting something for him after all at the deadline. We'll have to see. Although, as I've talked about before, I wouldn't mind if the Bulls actually kept Zoe, just because I appreciate his hustle and IQ and feel like he could be a great mentor for the younger guys, but also know that he doesn't really make sense on this Bulls team going forward. Anyway, this team doesn't make sense to me, man. They're all over the place. Pick a direction and stick to it. We need to start seeing some moves made here in the next few weeks before the deadline. Sorry that I'm being so low energy. I'm just over it. Happy New Year, though, to you all, by the way. The Bulls gave us the worst loss of the season on New Year's Day. But no, really, Happy New Year to you and yours. Of course, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.